Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about Legion episode 6. And wow, guys, I think out of all the episodes, this is probably the one I understood the most. I think about 90% of the things I got and had a pretty much clear start and finish to what they may have meant. So let's jump right into it. So we got basically it picking up from last week's episode where the Yellow-Eyed Devil has zapped everybody back to Clockwork's mental. Lenny's team there, we got the Eye there, and basically we're finding out that it's pretty much become clear that Lenny is the Yellow-Eyed Devil, and the Yellow-Eyed Devil just uses Lenny as a means to project itself to communicate with everyone. I guess it's easier for him to do it that way, but we're finding out that Lenny's basically pretty much gained total control of their minds, pretty much all of David's mind as well, as it pretty much was, pretty much had done anyway. But um, basically, the Yellow-Eyed Devil's trying to keep everybody's mind locked in Clockworks, and it's doing this by using these therapy sessions as a way or symbolic way to control their mind. Doing like speaking with Melanie about her relationship with Oliver, and basically addressing all their insecurities, dealing with Sid's ability not to touch or get close to people. Autonomy has a past where his mom died, and he always goes back there in his mind, and the Yellow-Eyed Devil is tapped into that. The Carries, not being always so close together, and basically that being addressed as not being a healthy relationship. Although we know actually one person and they cohabit one body, but in this therapy session and in this projection that the Yellow-Eyed Devil is using, basically they're two separate people, and that they just have an unhealthy relationship where they're clingy. So I just thought that was quite funny and interesting. But we also get to learn some very interesting things about the Yellow-Eyed Devil in the disguise as Lenny as well. We get to understand its motivation, like as to why is the Yellow-Eyed Devil and David making these agreements and cooperating together like what they've actually been doing. And we start to understand that the Yellow-Eyed Devil or Lenny is doing this because she feels it's easier for her to tap all David's powers if he's uh, accepting, kind of happy to a degree. And we get to find out David's state of mind is he just doesn't want the burden anymore. He wants to just be in love with Sydney in a place he can interact with her and touch her. And he doesn't want the burden of all the voices in his head, all the occupants inside his mind. And the Yellow-Eyed Devil, of course, we know wants pretty much full control over David. So this has been the agreement between the Yellow-Eyed Devil and David. And David just pretty much wants to keep Sid there in the hospital. But Sydney's starting to wake up. She's starting to realize things aren't real as they should be, and she's fighting back, she's battling back, and everybody else is kind of noticing things aren't right. The Carries are talking about things that, for instance, Sydney's asking them what do they all dream about, trying to connect if this isn't reality, trying to get the clues there. And basically they're all having kind of weird dreams and trying to connect the dots. But we also get to understand that Lenny, or the Yellow-Eyed Devil, is actually starting to get a bit tedious and tired of the situation with David because of David's love for Sydney is holding, and the Yellow-Eyed Devil wants David and it to be a team, a powerful team that could challenge even entities like, or an entity like God. I believe the line they use is give God a run for his money or something to that effect. So the Yellow-Eyed Devil is very ambitious and sees David as a partner in which they can achieve a lot. And it's also seemingly that for the yellow-eyed devil to reach the full potential with David's use of body, he needs David not to fight against him, but to not to be resistant to him, but to, he basically hand over everything to the yellow-eyed devil. And he's saying that, why do you basically, what do you think the purpose of your existence is? He's alluding to David is, thinking it's love, and he's in love with Sydney, and he's expressing that love is just chemicals in your brain, but the true purpose of existence is power, and alludes to the fact that the Eye understands that, and we get to learn the Eye's name is Walter. But the Eye is pretty much doing the same thing in this projection by the yellow-eyed devil he'd be doing if he was in the real world. And that's just going around terrorizing people and trying to harm people and using his power over people. And that's what the yellow-eyed devil idea about how existence should be, that the strong and the powerful should take control over the weaker and pretty much create everything to their will, gives an example of what happens when he attaches to host organisms in the form of a disease that happens to ants, where they attack this, they have this fungal disease that where basically a symbiote attaches to their brain, and it starts to grow up in an upward spiral, so many inches in the air, until eventually the spores burst open to grab onto other host organisms, killing the ant. And so basically the yellow-eyed devil is alluding to eventually him and David's relationship is going to come to an end if David can't go and cooperate with control of the situation with Sydney. It was at first that helpful to work with David because he thought it would eventually make the transition more smoother. It's looking like it won't happen. So now the yellow-eyed devil is losing patience with David. And as we, move on forward through the episode, we also get to learn that the researcher Carrie of the Carrie team is actually visited by, it seems to be a hovering ice cube, but we get to learn it's Oliver Bird reaching out to him from the astral plane. We know Oliver Bird is a very powerful mutant as well, like David. So he's able to, I would imagine, know what's going on and project himself out to try to help both them and Melanie Bird. And he reaches out to both of them, and basically he's able to free researchers Carrie's mind, and we see what happens. Researchers Carrie's body starts to look bruised again, and I believe that's alluding to his mind has been freed from the yellow-eyed devil, and as well he's able to free Melanie Bird. He projects himself to Melanie Bird, and he's taken her back, I believe, to the astral plane. Now we know in the earlier episodes that Oliver Bird, who's played by Jermaine Clements, who's a great actor, who was her husband, who's basically in this ice cube. He's kind of locked in the astral plane. That he's basically saving them one by one by freeing them. And we know inside the astral plane, the yellow-eyed devil can't enter into the astral plane, so they will be safe in the astral plane. And what he's doing is he sends back Carrie to get Sydney, to break Sydney free. And so all of their minds are seemingly being freed one by one as they go off to the astral plane. Sydney had already pretty much been on track to figuring out this wasn't the real world. She's trying to figure things out. And David's in this place where he doesn't want the burden of dealing with all the voices in his head. He just wants to be there with Sydney. He basically wants Sydney to stay in there trapped in his mind. He feels his agreement with the yellow-eyed devil is good. But the yellow-eyed devil is starting to change his mind. It no longer wants to work with David, to coddle David, to keep David. And so the yellow-eyed devil decides to simply lock David away in this glass-like box, which is symbolic of David now losing control, the yellow-eyed devil pretty much being in control of David's body, and Davis is locked in his mind. And so, we also got this dance number. Audrey Plaza is just so, she's got this hot, crazy thing going about her that really works. So she does this really hot burlesque dance number. And I believe that's symbolic of the yellow-eyed devil finally being free. Being able to have full control over David, his whole body, and everybody. And so but another problem, in this situation is as they come back to free David, which I think the plan is, as they come back to try to retrieve David, they're going to find out that David is basically now under full control of the yellow-eyed devil. It's going to be very hard to get David free. But we also get a lot of important information as the yellow-eyed devil is getting ready to lock David's mind away. He tells that David's real father tried very hard to hide David from him, and that the yellow-eyed devil still was David. And that is that we know from the comic books, well, there's a few things becoming abundantly 29% chance. The yellow Shadow King from the comic books, who was this very powerful psychic mutant who possessed other mutants' bodies, and he was fought Charles Xavier. The real father David they're explaining seems very much online to be with Charles Xavier. I'm kind of getting into early spoilers here, but I got one more spoiler for you guys that I'll mention. I'll make that the spoiler. But anyway, so it's pretty much seemed to line up that Charles Xavier was hiding, or David's father was hiding David from the Yellow-Eyed Devil or the Shadow King in order to keep him from finding him and doing harm to David. But the Yellow-Eyed Devil finds him anyway. So if Oliver Bird, Melanie Bird, the team try to come back and get David, my guess is they're going to find that David is now he's under full control of the Yellow-Eyed Devil, and they're going to be in this fight with him as the Yellow-Eyed Devil has all this power, and they're going to be in for a big fight with that. So great episode, guys. I think I pretty much, like I said, understood this episode more so than the other ones, and I really like that. I want to bring up my spoilers and my predictions for the future, and this is based on some news I ran across on actually a show done in England. I forgot the name of it, not the Graham Norton show, but it's another show that was done in England, and on this show was Dan Stevens, who plays David Haller here in Legion, and he was actually on the show with Patrick Stewart, who we know plays Professor Xavier from the Xmen movies. And Dan Stevens brought up that in Legion, he is playing his son. So it was pretty much confirmed, that he's playing his son, and that he would love very much for him to come on the show. And to which Patrick Stewart, who plays Charles Xavier, said he'd love to come on the show. And that's great, because my prediction is they're going to fight with the Shadow King, the Yellow-Eyed Devil. They're going to fight him for the remaining few episodes with a cliffhanger, and I believe that we may get a cameo from Patrick Stewart coming in to free David from the Shadow King, and I think that would be awesome if we get that. It is looking like we're probably going to get that, and guys, just great episode. Really enjoyed this week. Also, one other important quick thing is if this episode seemed to kind of just a bit off from the others, it was directed by someone else. I believe it was directed by the director who does the Atlanta show, which Atlanta's on FX2. Atlanta is a great show. Atlanta, I live near Atlanta, and so I love tuning into it. But he actually did this show, but was able to bring it back and get it towards the familiar story of what happened in episode 1, and I think it drew a lot from that. But anyway, guys, that's the end of my review for this week on Legion. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, take care.